Good morning. Welcome to Kahului Hongwanji Buddhist Temple's online Sunday service. Today is August 16th, 2020, and we will be having our regular Sunday family service today. Our service will begin with the Vandana and Tisarana, which is praising the Buddha and the Buddha's enlightenment and taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Following that, we will have the chanting of the Sutra 12 Homages, the English version of Junirai. After this, we will recite the Golden Chain of Love, and then I will share a Dharma message with you. After that, we will have the Loving Kindness meditation, or the Metta, and then the concluding Nembutsu, singing of the Nembutsu. So I hope you will enjoy today's service, and please listen to the words and participate as much as you can. If you do have a Buddhist altar at home, or even just a candle or an incense burner, you might want to light a candle, light some incense to help you to enjoy the service better. Okay, thank you very much. We will now begin our service with the reciting of the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammasambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Bhutang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, sanghang saranang gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. Gods and men all bow in awe to Amida the revered. In Buddha's wondrous pure land, Bodhisattvas gather round. Golden form like the mountain king, steadfast like the elephant's pace. Buddha's eyes like the blue lotus. Thus I bow to Amida. Buddha's form round like the moon, bright like thousand suns and moons. Buddha's voice like the nightingale. Thus I bow to Amida. Buddha's figure on Kanon's crown, adorned with wondrous features, Buddha subdues evilness. Thus I bow to Amida. Beyond compare, Amida's pure virtue shining clear like space. All benefit from Buddha. Thus I bow to Amida. Bodhisattvas all renown, Maras to praise Amida. Primal vow made for our sake, thus I bow to Amida. Golden ponds where lotus bloom, towers a throne of goodness. Buddha lives like the mountain king, thus I bow to Amida. Bodhisattvas come afar, attaining true happiness. They revere the Buddha's face, thus I bow to Amida. All life changes like the dew. We have no permanent self. Buddha teaches this law to all. Thus I bow to Amida. No evil in the Pure Land, and no fear of evil paths. Faithful hearts honor Buddha, thus I bow to Amida, saving us through many ways. No tempters, no evil friends, birth leads to enlightenment, thus I bow to Amida. Amida, thus I have praised, virtues boundless like the sea, these virtues shared with others, for birth into the Pure Land. Namandabu. Golden Chain of Love. I am a link in Amida Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in Amida Buddha's golden chain of love become bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning. I'd like to share some thoughts about the Buddhist teaching with you this morning. Let's begin by putting our hands together in Gassho and reciting the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning. I hope everyone is staying well, doing the best we can during this time. In some sense, there's a lot of problems that we're facing. In another sense, it's sort of normal. We're home, unless we're sick. We're still kind of doing the same things. Hopefully, we are not burdened too much by the COVID-19 situation, and yet we have to be mindful of it and be aware of those who are having difficulties, serious difficulties, either financial or otherwise, when we need to be able to help each other and be aware of these things. So in the meantime, we still have to live our lives, changed perhaps, but we still have to live our lives. So I'd like to talk about a couple things today, kind of a little bit about being our true self and being open and open to the world, being able to appreciate life. So in this, reading this, I often read this book called The Center Within by Reverend Gyomei Kubose. And it's an old book, it's been around for a long time. But in this particular book, Reverend Kubose talks about being aware that everything that comes to us, this is an old Buddhist teaching, everything that comes to us through our senses, taste, smell, vision, hearing, touch, is something that is actually outside of ourselves. So as Buddhists, we always need to understand the difference between outside influences and what comes to us from our true self, from deep within. Reverend Kubose writes here, "We must always listen to the deep inner voice and follow that voice. It is true that our daily lives are influenced and oftentimes controlled by external things. For example, we often say, 'I have to do such and such,' or 'I did that because he told me to, I was told to.' Instead," Reverend Kubose says, our actions should reflect an attitude of, 'I want to do such and such. I'm doing it because I choose to do it.'" What's he saying? I think he's telling us that we should not live as if we are just at the mercy of conditions or of the thoughts and desires of other people. Of course, every moment of life, it is structured by causes and conditions. That's a fundamental truth of Buddhism. And we must pay attention and respect the wishes and the desires and feelings of others. That's fundamental. But to be a Buddhist means to live one's own life without complaint or regret. We don't say, or we shouldn't say, it's his fault, it's their fault. She made me do it. Or if it weren't for that person, if it weren't for those people, everything would be great. I would be happy. I would have no problems. And so on. The most common thing, I think, in the world that you come across, and really one of the saddest things is hearing so many people say, it's all their fault, it's all his fault. And really wasting their life, ruining their life, and harming others by not taking responsibility for their own living, always blaming. So to live as a Buddhist life, as Buddhists, to live that life, it means to make our own choices as best as we can, based on what we really honestly want and what we honestly think is right, not what others tell us is right, or others tell us we should do. Not to try to please others, not to conform to the expectations of others, or especially we should not do what we do merely for profit or self-benefit. It should always come from deep within. What is it I really want? What is really important? And those actions, of course, are always the ones that will not only benefit oneself, because we will be being honest with ourselves and living an authentic life, but they are also the actions that will benefit others. The modern world is indeed full of terrible pressures, and to truly be one's honest self is very difficult, very difficult. But when we realize the boundless compassion that always embraces us and has made our life possible at every moment, we want to truly live that life, not to waste it or exchange it for some kind of false self made up of other people's desires, beliefs, feelings, or expectations. We have to be true to our own true self. Buddha taught us that all of our actions, our thoughts, words, and feelings should be authentically our own and come from within. Too often, especially in today's world, we find ourselves totally out of touch with our true self and willing to do and be anything at all, just for the sake of maintaining the comfort of life, the convenience, the money and power, whatever we think we have that's so important. Tragically, all those things that we trade our authentic life for are illusions, delusions really. True happiness can only be realized when we let those things go and allow ourselves to be who we really are. It's difficult to be oneself, and it takes a lot of courage. But only as oneself can we truly realize the depth of gratitude that allows us, that permits us to appreciate the great compassion that always embraces us, and to be continually astonished by the wonder and beauty of everything that surrounds us. That is the true happiness of life. Have you noticed that we human beings, with all of our material progress and comfort, have mostly forgotten what it even feels like to be astonished by the beauty of ordinary things? I would like to tell you a little story. I read this in a book a long time ago. I can't remember the name of the book. But it was about 200 years ago in Japan that there was a Buddhist nun whose name was Rengetsu, and she was renowned for her beautiful poetry. Rengetsu was a very compassionate person, and although she was very poor, she had lost her husband and children tragically and was all alone in the world. But despite being so poor, she always gave whatever extra offerings she received for her poems to those who were worse off than she was. Once, it's said, a thief came into her house at night, and so she awoke and lit a lamp for him so that he could see better, and then served him tea while encouraging him to talk about his difficult life. Rengetsu was a true Buddhist, and she lived the life of a wandering pilgrim, homeless, without a permanent home. Once, in a faraway place, she had walked many miles without finding a village in which to sleep for the night. Finally, she came to a small town by a river, but no one there would give her lodging for the night. So, as night fell, she retraced her steps to a good spot she had seen beneath a cherry tree. After falling asleep, Rengetsu was awakened in the night by a bright light she felt shining upon her face. She opened her eyes and saw a misty white moon hovering in the cloudless sky. Above her head, thousands of cherry blossoms had opened while she had slept, and now each flower held the golden moonlight in its petals. The exquisite beauty of this sight was such a surprise to Rengetsu that she literally gasped in amazement. Turning toward the village, which had not been able to offer her a place to sleep that night, she bowed to the village in deep gratitude, and she composed a poem. This is her poem. through their kindness in refusing me a place to sleep, I found myself beneath beautiful blossoms on the night of the misty moon. So the townspeople had refused Rengetsu a place to rest for the night. Perhaps they did this out of selfishness, or perhaps they simply had no resources to share with a stranger. Perhaps they were so poor themselves. It would have been natural for Rengetsu to resent being turned away, to blame them for part of her misery. Those selfish people wouldn't give me a place to sleep. Perhaps she felt that way at first, but as she expressed in her poem, it was only because of being turned away, that she found herself in that spot, that one spot, at that one time, to witness a sight of astonishing beauty. How often do we carry resentment and regret around with us, sometimes for years, sometimes our whole life, blaming others for our own unhappiness? In doing so, how much beauty are we refusing to see? How much happiness and peace of mind are we sweeping away, completely rejecting? Maybe every moment of life is a moment of exquisite beauty that we're somehow missing. Let's all think about this and try to let go of our resentments and all of our demands for how we think things are supposed to be. And let's all come back to our true selves and awaken in gratitude to the astonishing beauty of life. Thank you very much for listening, and let's conclude these thoughts by reciting the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May I be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to me. May I live in peace and harmony. May my family be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my teachers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my friends be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May strangers be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May my enemies be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. May all beings be happy and well. May no harm or difficulties come to them. May they live in peace and harmony. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo.
Amida
thank you very much. Thank you very much for participating in today's service, for joining us here. Even though we're still at home, we're not gathering together in the temple yet. I guess the virus is still kind of unpredictable, still having spikes and going up a little bit here in Hawaii, so we have to be careful. But nevertheless, we are together in the Dharma, in the Buddha's teaching. So, and in the embrace of Amida Buddha, of great compassion. So thank you very much for being part of this service. If you take a look at the titles after, at the end of this video, you will see some announcements. So please pay attention to those if you wish. So thank you very much, and let's conclude our service now with the recitation of the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
We